Utica, Indiana. This quiet community sits just 15 minutes north of Louisville, Kentucky, alongside the Ohio River. Less than 1,000 people live in the town, which got its start back in 1795. There's a lot of history in this town, but we'll be taking a look at one property nestled in the hills above the western riverbank, the Mistletoe Falls Estate, an overgrown ruin which is said to be tied to a Welsh prince, a coven of witches, and a brutal murder.
One of Kentuckiana's most horrific murders, a 12-year-old girl, Shanda Sharer.
The murder of Shanda Sharer.
Shanda Sharer.
Shanda. A classmate was killed.
Satanic. She told you she was going to kill her, right?
Yes.
It was here that the torture of Shanda Sharer began.
Her beaten and burned body was found on Saturday.
It was just bad. Couldn't believe it.
Was tortured for 12 hours.
Kidnapping, torturing, and eventually killing.
Shanda was burned beyond recognition.
This is something that we could not possibly imagine.
Tortured and murdered a 12-year-old. Cut, bludgeoned, sodomized, locked in a car trunk, then burned alive. Brutal beyond belief.
You could tell she had a terrible night.
It's unbelievable.
It's hard to grasp that a human being could do these things to another human being.
Shanda Sharer was killed in a jealous rage.
The bubbly teen who liked basketball and loved the color lavender died of smoke inhalation. Apparently, she was alive when set on fire.
Shanda was kidnapped and murdered in 1992 by 4 teenage girls.
Murdered by a group of girls.
Murdered by 4 teenage criminals who looked like the girls next door.
2 teenagers have admitted to the killing. Now they are being sentenced.
2 Indiana teenagers are charged with killing Shanda Sharer.
Tony Lawrence and Hope Rippey are also charged for their roles in Shanda's death.
She and the 3 other girls held Shanda in the trunk of a car, stabbed and bludgeoned her, then burned her alive.
Ringleaders Melinda Lovelace, Tony Lawrence, and Hope Rippey.
It's pretty scary to think that kids that age could be involved in such a violent act.
Lovelace had convinced the group that the 12-year-old Sharer was trying to steal her girlfriend.
Now says she was scared to go get help during the night the child was suffering.
She's lying about everything as far as I'm concerned, and I think they're all lying.
A judge is expected to decide early next week about sentences for Melinda Lovelace and for Lori Tackett. Both teenagers face 30 to 60 years in prison.
All 4 of the girls should get years.
The prosecutor had made it very clear that if the plea agreement wasn't entered into, it was going to proceed on the death penalty.
We'll return again to the murder of Shanda Sharer, but let's start at the beginning of the Witch's Castle property, which is actually named Mistletoe Falls. Legend goes that when the town was first founded, there were 3 old women who lived there. The new townspeople claimed the land was theirs from the Treaty of Paris and tried to evict the women, who fought back until a vigilante group stormed the grounds, dragged the women from the castle, and tied them to a raft, which they set into the river. Before dying, the women cursed the town and their descendants. This thing is so overgrown. The curse would ring true in 1830 when the McAlpine Locks and Dam was built, rerouting the water traffic and making Utica a near ghost town. Fireplace right there, yeah. In the years afterwards, 3 sisters moved into a curious castle-like stone shack built on an isolated wooded hill overlooking the Ohio River. The women rarely interacted with the town, chasing off anyone trying to enter the property. When children from the town began to disappear, suspicion naturally fell upon the 3 women, and when the home was raided, a horrifying tableau was on display.
That's kind of cool, that black and white.
Yeah.
And then this part just completely caved in whenever that used to be.
Human skins were drying on a clothesline, bones were discarded in corners, and a child's heart was stewing over the fireplace. The women were executed on the spot, hung from a tree nearby, and the house was burned down. It was next purchased by J. Paul Druin in the 1940s, a recently divorced businessman who was looking for something to occupy his new free time. Druin was captivated by the land, which was reported to be tied with the legend of Prince Madoc. Madoc was supposedly a Welsh prince who crossed the seas in the 1100s, arriving to a strange foreign land. He then traveled north, where he built a large stone fort, along with several smaller forts in the surrounding area. Rumor has it Mistletoe's Falls was to have been the location of one of those forts. This was like an outlook type deal, yeah. Here. Oh yeah, it's pretty worn, but a little small creek. That's a little waterfall.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, I don't know if it's over there. So this part looks like a chair, where it kind of cuts in. Looks like a little armrest.
Yeah.
Lays flat, comes down like a step, and this part looks like it might have broke off.
Though there's no evidence to support this legend, Druin was captivated and set about rebuilding the stone house along with a chapel higher on the hill sitting on a bed of limestone. Here's the makeshift bridge to cross.
And don't fall, because that would be scary. You might get wet.
Might break my camera.
There you go. Alright guys, this is Witch's Castle.
Metal entryway. That's sort of a fireplace or a hearth. Designed to resemble a tugboat sitting in stone waves, the chapel is adorned with the grist mill wheels and made of imported stone, along with stained glass windows. Got these metal doors that they could close. Druin eventually remarried his wife and sold the property to focus on her. A family bought an ex, and one day their son accidentally set it on fire, leaving it in ruins again. During this period is when the legends around the abandoned property began to grow, and it became a mecca for local teens and ghost hunters. Yeah, this is just like a regular shed. Nothing to do really with the castle. There's some old cements. The land was purchased in 1985 by a woman who planned to fix it up until a cold day in January of 1992, when 4 teens brought 12-year-old Shanda Sharer to the witch's castle in the dead of night. They had told Shanda that they were all going to meet Amanda Heverin, the ex-girlfriend of Melinda Lovelace, who had been upset that Shanda had stole the girl from her, even though Amanda and Shanda had broken up some time ago.
After she got into the car, first stop was what they call the Witch's Castle.
The Witch's Castle, it's a creepy place where kids go and drink, party, do demonic things.
On Halloween, we have hundreds of people that come up there.
Lori was fascinated by this place. She believed that 9 witches were burned at that castle. She talked about knowing the spirits who were there. Lori produces 2 pieces of rope. She's gonna tie the wrists of Shanda, and Melinda's gonna tie the ankles.
Toni Lawrence claims she looked on in horror at the scene, but did nothing to stop it.
They tried to slice her throat.
When the knife turns out to be too dull to kill Shanda, the girls strangle her into unconsciousness.
They then loaded Shanda into their trunk and would drive the rest of the night to where she was ultimately killed. The Witch's Castle property was propelled then into the limelight, and the owner gave up any hope of rebuilding the property, selling it to a business the following year. Look at this gross thing in here. I don't know what it is. It's really... I think it's... Yeah, like a candle or something. It's like a... No. It's a doll, because here's doll hair. So somebody like burned a doll and it melted in here. Yeah, here's somebody's like burned candles. They lit up in here. And it's like a main little piece. You can see something's been etched in it. It's obviously too eroded though to know what. There's somebody scribbled Satan. If you ever visit Utica, you'll notice a large amount of churches and religious iconography. Granted, this is the tip of the Bible Belt, but one can't help but recall the legend of 3 witches cursing the town. You can choose to believe the legends or not. The fact remains that the Witch's Castle in Utica has a bloody history that refuses to lay at rest. In 2020, on the same road to the castle, a man shot a driver, stole his car, and was shortly thereafter apprehended hiding out nearby.
You know, something to start out all like fun and games, and it's just going to be, you know, a rowdy night and turn into something so incredibly. I just didn't know that it was going to end up the way that it ended up.
I miss you. I miss you so much.